Welcome to my podcast story, the show where podcasters share the real journey behind their voices, from their first mic check to their biggest milestones. Every episode reveals the lessons, challenges, and breakthrough that shape a podcast star's journey. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I can't wait for you to hear today's story. Tell us your name and what you do.
I'm Jenny C. Cohen, and I help women in midlife reclaim their joy and understanding of why they're still here in their midlife. And I do it through the modalities of dance primarily.
Okay. I was about to pick a bone with you right now if you did not mention dance. I was like, let's wait. I was like, if you didn't mention dance, there would have been war.
It was so funny.
Because you were saying everything. I was like, wait, where's dance? What's happening? Dance is supposed to start it. Welcome to the podcast, Jenny.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dance has been a part of my life. I just, I didn't really start studying it until I was an adult because I was an immigrant.
When you say adults, do you mean young adults or do you mean adults?
I mean in my 20s. Really studying it seriously. Yeah, that's a young adult. When I became a professional, I was working in New York City and I could take classes. I explored it in high school because it was part of the curriculum you could opt into for gym. And then I took one tiny little semester in fourth grade because I broke my mom down. We had immigrated to the States, and after 4 years of begging, she let me take an introductory ballet class. And that was the only dance I had as a child.
Oh, my heart just sank. The moment I heard the word puts my mom down, my heart just went down. Yeah. I'm so sorry, because usually when I hear the word puts down, it goes with like I put my dog down and stuff like that. And so when I heard I put my mom down, I was like, oh. And then you're like, put her down for the classes. Is that what you meant, right?
I begged my mother for years to be placed in a dance class.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when I heard puts my mom down, what I could think of was euthanasia for dogs. And so my heart sank. I was about to explore what you meant by that. But when I heard sign up for the class, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense now. Yeah, I was like, what am I thinking? Okay. You started dance. You went into it professionally as a young adult. Prior to that time, what did you study professionally?
I want to clarify. I didn't actually ever give myself permission to explore dance as a young adult. It was a class I would take after I finished my job. During the day, I worked in New York City as an occupational therapist at hospital for special surgery. So that hospital specialized in orthopedics. Like we were giving people knee replacements, hip fractures. We had athletes coming in with shoulder injuries or spinal cord injuries. That was the time I elected to really start taking dance at a higher level than I had ever been exposed to as a young adult. Before I had that freedom, I went through high school, went through undergrad as a psychology major, and then elected to go and get my master's degree in occupational therapy. So I learned even before I was a real adult to break down movement for people. That's a special skill I have. My children, who are now 26, when they were very young, wanted to be elite athletes. So we had to figure out how to teach them how to do a cartwheel. I still cannot do a cartwheel with them, but I can teach them to do a cartwell. And then they went on to elite. A cartwheel when you go flip on your hands and your feet rainbow over your hands, and then when you do it's an acrobatic movement where you would go on your hands and then your feet will go up in the air and then you will land back on your feet. That's a cartwheel.
Sideways or
sideways?
Is it side? Okay.
Sideways. Yeah. And my kids can also do aerials where nothing's touching the floor and they can flip in the air. I can't do any of that stuff, but I can teach you how to do it. I know how to analyze movement and break it down.
Okay, but have you ever done that in your life?
I never remember. I had to beg for that 3 months of ballet class when I was very young. So I never was afforded the opportunity because my parents, when we immigrated to the States, they worked very hard. And I'm 57 today, so 50 years ago when we came to this country.
So this is your birthday?
Thank you. No, I'm just...
Okay.
I turned 57 in July.
Okay. Yep. When you said I'm 57 today, I was like, what? Like the way you started, I was like, I was supposed to sing you a happy birthday song. Well,
I'll take
worries.
it. Well, but so 50 years ago. Yeah, 50 years ago is them. I came to this country, and because we were immigrants in the US, my parents just said, you just could get good grades because that means you can get into good college and you don't have to be poor like us working in a restaurant. So there was no arts anything. And then years later, we had our children, and my kids are my miracle babies. And so it was hard for me to do the old school way that I was raised. I did the new school way. So they homeschooled. They wanted to be elite athletes, so they did rhythmic gymnastics for many years. Then they did competitive dance. Then they retired. But, they went to Junior Olympics. They did a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, you tell me about the podcast, Dance to Heal.
Yes. When I found dance as a young adult, I was taking classes at Broadway Dance Center in New York City. I loved how alive I felt in those classes. Now, I'm in my early 20s then, taking classes with dance majors from all over the world in New York City. It was amazing wisdom. I couldn't keep up with them though, just so you know. They're dance majors and me as a young adult learning dance. And they're like mostly hip hop classes. So it would be an hour and a half of class and I'd be exhausted and they would be warmed up for the rest of their classes for the evening. Then I got pregnant, had babies. And then I found the art of belly dance, which is a Middle Eastern. It comes from different countries in the Middle East. It comes from Turkey, Iraq, Egypt, and other parts of the world. And I love this dance form. There's a style called AMCAB that's based in the States. And I found a teacher. I didn't know it was called AMCAB at that time, American Cabaret, but I studied it and I loved belly dance and it helped me feel comfortable in my body. At that time, my fraternal twins were almost 4. And I had shrunk as a mother because I was chasing babies around. I have girlfriends that made fun of me with them. They'd be like, you came in like this, Jenny, because dirty hair and a baseball cap, right? And then by the time I was done learning the first year, I had posture. I was washing my hair again. I was performing and getting dressed up, and I loved it. Now, fast forward about 10 years later, 10, 11, 15 years later, I got breast cancer. And I still danced throughout my breast cancer. So my breast cancer treatment was almost 2 years. I danced throughout all of it through the chemotherapy. 3 days after my surgery, I went to perform. Throughout my radiation, after my radiation, I had infusions for an additional year. I danced through all of that. It was the only time I felt safe during my treatment because I would get present in my body. The rest of the time during my cancer treatment, I would try to get out of my body because my body hurt from the treatment. They kind of they feed you a lot of poison to try and get rid of the cancer. And you hope you survive it so then you can be over the cancer. Then in my recovery, I used dance again to stay in my body. And then the podcast came because I wrote a book called Outside In Recovery. And it talked about my journey of using dance. Outside in Recovery.
Outside in Recovery.
Because it's like your body is your outside. And when you get your outside intact, it's sometimes easier than to go inside. That's the difference because people talk about inside out. For me, it was the outside in because if I could see myself in the mirror more, I could actually be in touch with myself, if that makes sense. So that's what the book was about. And then I launched the podcast at the same time because I decided everyone needs to have that access. You all need to know, what does dance do for you? And at first, the first 12 episodes was just dedicated to dancers and movers. I brought them on to talk about how dance can help you. Now it's morphed, though. We just went through a rebrand wisdom, and now it's more talking about how life is a dance. And I bring on guests that help people empower themselves through different ways other than traditional Western medicine.
Oh, we moved from dance, and now I feel like it's a journey. We started with dance, and now we're anchored on healing.
Yes, it's really centered around healing that can be married to traditional medicine. There's areas about even energy healing. Science is now having studies backing up how wonderful it is if we just better understand it. Even things like if you tune into your 5 senses when you're dancing, right? So if you're thinking of your favorite smell or smelling something, I always have Earl Grey tea. So I take a sip and I smell my tea. Then when I'm moving, I'm hearing the music and feeling your body and your feet on the floor. And then the last thing is to open up your peripheral field. So if I'm lightly looking at you and then I open up my field without my eyes changing, I tune into all those 5 senses while I'm dancing. You're lighting up all those different parts of your brain, and that gets you present. So then you're not being thrown off your own center once you can practice that when you're not dancing.
Oh, dance to you. When I hear the title of the podcast, Dance to Heal, the first thing I think of is, oh, if I dance, it will lead to healing, right? Which in a sense, that's the meaning. But based on the timeline and the progression of the podcast, it's started with dance and now we've moved on to healing.
Yeah.
The episodes are now anchored on healing. When you started the podcast, what year was it? How long ago was that?
Well, when I first launched it, I didn't realize that the person who signed me up, I was subcontracted under someone else, so no one could find me. Then I found someone else that helped me launch it under like Dance to Heal itself. And that's been around about 1.5 years, almost 2 years.
Wow, wait. You used a lot of big words, so contracts. What's happening?
I didn't even understand. So basically, you can find my first 12 episodes under Transformation Talk Radio. That will sometimes pop up. And then it was subcontracted under 3 other people or 2 other people, and no one could find me. Like my views were very low. Then I found someone, her name is Kay Souther. She's based out in England. She's amazing. And her agency helped me launch my own podcast so that you could find me on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And then they also launched me on YouTube so that people could find me.
Oh, that's fantastic. How much did it cost?
Yeah. Oh, it cost money. It wasn't free, but that's fine. It was worth it. It was worth every penny, every dollar. I don't know what her pricing is now, but I got in when it was a little bit more affordable.
How much is affordable?
I got in. It was roughly, was it somewhere between $6,000 and $7,000 for 24 episodes, including setup.
24 episodes. That's cheap,
right?
Yeah, that's cheap. When I first heard 7,000, I was like, that's expensive. But then I had 24 episodes, and I was like, that's cheap.
They did everything. I got all of these post-production files from my guests. So they got a Facebook cover for their social medias. They got audiograms, which is just their audio on a picture. They got a little video of themselves speaking. I don't do all that now, but I used to offer all that when I had that service.
Oh, okay.
And now they get a really cool YouTube short.
Yeah. What happened? You stopped working with them. Why?
I couldn't afford it anymore. And then because it was every 24 episodes, right? And she's raised her prices since. But I was like, I have to focus on my business, which is helping women through dance find themselves again. Because a lot of times when we start to go into perimenopause and menopause, women start to lose connection with our bodies as we age. And I want to focus on that business and still keep the podcast going. At the same time, my fraternal twins, my son graduated from college, so he took over the editing and shifted it. He rebranded everything to where it is now. And that's how we ended up being on Listen Notes. We're now top 10% globally ranked.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's genius.
Yeah.
I just love the first you started the podcast, and I didn't even know that the thing wasn't done properly at the beginning, because
I didn't. I paid that person $1,800 for was it 8 episodes? Every other Friday, I got a half an hour slot, but they did theirs a little bit differently. It was a live recording with a producer at the time, but I paid them 2 iterations of that, and then I went, that's too expensive for me too, because the second time I renewed for that first person, it didn't include a new intro and outro. So it felt like I was paying the same amount for less services. Does that make sense? Because both services I paid for, they gave me a professional sounding introduction. They did a nice video for me, and then they gave me a nice outro with,
is it K or the Transform Talk Radio?
Well, it wasn't directly Transformation Talk Radio. It was under whoever was subcontracting with them. So they gave me a good deal. It was just at the time when I renewed again with them, I didn't get a new intro and outro. Yeah. I didn't get, the new graphics. And I met with professional people. So I knew I was getting a really good services for the money I was paying for. And then I was asking them, can I have some stats on how many views, and the view numbers came back very low. And I was like, nah. And then when I met with Kay, she said, do a Google search. Like, type your name in.
Wow.
And I did that, and no one could find me. But then after I worked with Kay, if you go on Google and type in Jenny C. Cohen, I started
Easy
popping
to
up.
find. Easy to
All
find. I
of
just searched Dance to Heal, and I could see your website, number one, Spotify, all of them. It was like the 1 to 10, just you. And I was like, wow, she has this part
That's
figured out.
Kay. That's Kay Souther. She helped me really gain a presence online through Google. Then we noticed, oh, on YouTube, you can't find me at all. So we're trying to get me more search engine optimized on YouTube. And that's been really interesting because, you know, now with AI, you also want to make sure you're searchable on AI, which I did not know.
Yeah. I think one of the things people neglect in marketing and all that is people that are already looking for you. You always focus on how do I get in front of new people? How do I get in front of this? And I'm like, wait, there's somebody out there that's looking for you. Somebody out there looking for a podcast that would dance, that involves healing and stuff like that. And they can't find your podcast. So when you're trying to get new people, why not just appear when they find you, and that's it?
Yeah, exactly. Everything you just said is what I didn't know when I first started my podcast. And I had no idea I was buried under layers of other people's names. Right. And it's really interesting because once I was working with Kay and she started getting my name out there, then all the Transformation Talk Radio interviews started popping up. It was really interesting because my name was always in the podcast descriptions with the first platform. They just weren't searchable as much on Google, which was confusing to me. If you're starting a new podcast, just know that you want it under your name. Sorry, it's just the way it is. You think it's easier if it's under other people's names. It's not. Kay told me, buy my website, Jenny C. Cohen, like buy your name in your website and then put that name everywhere so they can find you on Google. I was like, genius. But no one told me that until I found Kay.
Yeah, without even meeting Kay I already know that she's great at what she does. Like, she's fantastic. Like, these
She's
are some of
amazing.
the recommendations she's giving. These are little things that, except you're in the industry, you're not even going to know about those things. Like, they're not even the normal thing, like editing episodes. Everybody knows how to edit episodes. That's the basic stuff.
Exactly. And I didn't even know. So for Apple Podcasts, there's a special application to get on there. I couldn't have done it myself, right?
Yeah.
But she had people that just set me up in like 3 hours, done. I didn't have to struggle. I know I look Asian. I blow up tech, okay? Wisdom. Tech and I do not, anything technical, and me, I blow it up. I don't know why.
You're not alone. That's not a peculiar problem. There are a lot of persons like that. I've interviewed a lot of guests, and the issue is common. Now you've grown your show, and now your son does the editing for you, and you show up. And I think one of the you would have experienced is one of the struggle is setting up and creating a foundation for the podcast. Eventually, to show up with editing episode, that's not as hard compared to setting it up, having a website, connecting it, submitting it to Apple Podcasts, making sure the cover art looks nice, and all those other things is in place. Quick break. Before we continue, I'd love to invite you to join the My Podcast Story newsletter. Each week, I share highlights from our guest stories, behind the scenes podcasting tips, and resources to help you grow your own show. You can sign up at mypodcaststory.com/join. That is mypodcaststory.com/join. Now let's get back to the episode.
One of the two things that Kay suggested to me that I would love to share with your audience. One is,
please do. Thank you.
Podmatch was an exceptional platform for me as a host to do the membership with, because I was able to get very high quality guests. And because if they're registered on Podmatch, I had access to their entire bio page, questions that they would normally answer, extra questions, their links, their social media, everything was on one area. That was helpful. And the second thing was she had me opt into Podpage, which linked with my domain for my podcast. And what Podpage and Buzzsprout would do is Podpage would go to my Buzzsprout where my podcast is housed and pull everything onto my quote unquote podcast website. They would even set up a
Yeah.
landing page for every single episode. So I look really pro. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Page would pull from Buzzsprout. Every time I launch something on Buzzsprout will launch to all the podcast platforms, and then Pod page would pull that episode and set up its own separate landing page for every single episode on my the Dance to Heal podcast.com. It was genius when she told me that, and then I did it, and then she was like, do that. And I was like, okay, I did it. And then now every guest has their own episode on its own page.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you've mentioned you use Podmatch, you use Buzzsprout, you use Podpage. Buzzsprout you pay, that's paid. Podmatch is paid. Podpage is paid. What other tools do you use for the podcast?
We recently started doing the paid part of CapCut, so that we could get edits that were much easily captioned and stick them on YouTube Shorts. We noticed that that's actually what's drawing people to my episodes. Because before I get 3-4 views, all of a sudden I had 800 views for one short. One short that, even if half of them get pulled to the episode, that's 400 views of my episode, right?
Yeah.
So you want to definitely start posting shorts of your episode leading to your full episodes. Another thing, was it the Diary of a CEO podcast? Even Mel Robbins, what they start to do is the host asks a question and then has your guests answering halfway. They cut the video off.
Yeah. And then
you
like suspense. Yeah, that thing is not new. Like if you watch series movie, you've noticed it. They call it the cliffhanger. It's like, oh, what happened? What happened? Did he die? What's going on? Like, and then like, okay, watch the next episode, and then the next episode. Before you know, you binge all the series, and you're like, what happened? I just spent the whole day watching this season.
Yes, and they're very fancy. Some of these episodes, there's hours, right? There's hours of it's an hour, and they've got commercials, so they got paid for those commercials.
Yeah,
Mine are a straight 20 minutes tops. They could play at 2x if they needed to. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. You pay for CapCut. What else do you pay for anything after the post production?
I do the paid version of Zoom so that I can. Yeah, I use Zoom. Riverside is enticing me, though. I'm just telling you, it's so fancy and nice in this little box. I like that.
Okay. I was about to recommend Riverside for you. It's just a recommendation. I don't know, right? But the reason why I would recommend it is that if you use Riverside, you see Zoom and CapCut, you would, except maybe using Zoom for your business purposes, you wouldn't need to be paying for those two extra software, because I record on Riverside and I edit on Riverside, and I make those clips you mentioned on Riverside.
I love that. Yeah, so we might have to do that. It's
I just pay $30 per month, and I do unlimited recording. I don't think there's a limit on recording. In a month, sometimes I do 50, 100 episodes. And I don't have issues.
Wow, good for you. You're my idol. Like, I want to do that. Right now, we're just one episode every Wednesday, and I want to increase, but it's more the editing process is so long for my son.
Oh yeah, that's true. For Riverside, because I use Riverside, I think I spend about 30 minutes to 1 hour per episode, and the reason being that Riverside will transcribe the episode and make it a text. So instead of me listening to the episode, which I would listen to the final product, but listening takes time. I can read it and actually scan. My reading speed is faster than my listening. So I go through the text. I'm like, okay, I made a mistake here. I remove it, and I can search for some words, right? So if I'm having a conversation with my guest and they make a mistake that I want to cut, I will tell them sorry, right? And so the reason I tell them sorry is because when I'm about to edit, I'll search for the word sorry, and I'll see all those points, and I'll cut it out in the text. And voila, the video is ready. I do the Magic Studio. So even though my guest has a not so good audio setup, I can, work on the audio, and everything is there. So I love Riverside.
Yeah.
I'm in love. You should sponsor me. It's great. Okay. You use Zoom, you use CapCut. What else do you use?
That's it. Just those things. Okay. Oh, and Canva. Canva for all the graphics.
Okay, Canva. Do you use something to transcribe the episodes for the transcripts and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think we're on iMovie just to pull the audio off.
Okay.
Yeah, we keep it pretty simple. Other than that.
Okay, I'm talking about transcripts.
We don't do transcripts actually that I know
of. We were talking about repurposing. I'm curious. I don't know if you have something like that in place, right? like for example, this episode now, once the episode goes live, before it goes live, I'll put it in the software, get a transcript for it. From that transcript, I will generate the show notes, the description, the title, and everything, right? Via AI automatic, right? I've programmed the prompts, customized prompts already, and so it gives me title and all that. Now that's like the basics. I can generate a newsletter to send to my audience that will come out automatic. I would also get a blog post if I want one, and I can also get all the quote sections from the episodes. I can generate clips out of it too, and so I can basically do everything just from
Yeah.
one software. Yeah,
Can you also go live from Riverside onto a Facebook group?
yeah, you can go live.
Yeah.
You can go live, and the thing you can do is you can do multi live streams, and then I think there's a feature where you can have those live streams, chats, and questions into Riverside, such that you don't have to switch between platforms.
Yeah.
So if someone asks a question on YouTube, you see the question in Riverside, and you can respond. Does that make sense?
Oh, I love that. I love that because I had a
Yeah.
girlfriend tell me, oh, you should be on OBS, and I could not figure it out for the lifetime.
Ah,
I was
no,
on OBS trying to hook
OBS
it up
is
to my
free.
Facebook group. Dude, it took me like 45
OBS
minutes to decide I can't do this.
OBS is free, but at the cost of it, it becomes the learning curve is very, very, very steep. Like, nah. But it's free, completely free. But
Yeah.
nah. That stuff is hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah, but if you're broke and you have a lot of time to spare, you can use that.
Okay, well, I'm not broke and I don't have time to spare, so I guess I'm doing Riverside. You better send me your
you could use
affiliate link,
Riverside.
okay?
Oh wow!
Send me your
don't
affiliate
have an
link and
affiliate link. I don't have an affiliate link. Riverside
Oh.
decided not to accept me for the affiliate programs. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell them though that I
Yeah.
came from you, okay?
Yeah, but it's a great software. It will save you a lot of time and it will save you a lot of cost. I think they just added a feature now where if you're not tech savvy, you can chat with the tool and tell it the edit you want to do, right? So you know how you chat with ChatGPT. You can say, I want you to cut the first 30 seconds of the episode where the guest was introducing herself, so I can use that
Love
as
it.
trailer, and it will do that. And I can say resize it for as a LinkedIn or Instagram, and you just chat with it back and forth, and it will do its magic. So that's a great feature.
That's a great feature. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
try that, and if there's anything I can do to help you out regarding maybe like, oh, I can't figure this part out, just let me know and I'll be glad to help.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. That we'll start looking at that for 2026 and shift off of everything else because right now, I'm telling you, it all adds up.
There's I think as in the podcasters, there's the time elements. We don't have a lot of time on our hand, so if we can want to reduce the time we spend on the podcast as much as possible in a good way, right? The time we spend on the the busy work, right? Trying to edit an episode and all those other parts. These are not really the main things. So if we could reduce that, that would make sense.
Yeah. I have to have you on my podcast.
Wow. Wow, that would be I would celebrate. That's the word. Yeah.
All right.
I'll celebrate. Like that would be great. That would be fantastic. Wow, thank you.
I would be honored if you would come on my podcast.
Oh, okay.
I'm starting to be very selective of who I ask. So it would be our pleasure and honor to have you on there. Okay. We are revamping some of this stuff, so don't make fun of my process, okay?
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Because I'm gonna send you in the chat right now because
okay.
When I do things like this, it's just better if I do it now as where.
Well, that's true. When you say your process, I'm curious. Well, what does the process look like for you? What is it currently now, and what are you hoping it will be like?
So right now,
okay,
I personally invite people, and I put in the message for you. That's the message I give them, and I tell them they're gonna submit the form, and once you submit the form, they will be given access to my schedule to book their 1 hour recording time. And then I always give them the podcast website and the YouTube channel so they can check it out.
Okay.
And, and then once they book the call during the 1 hour, we record about 20 minutes. Sometimes if we go longer, we'll cut it into 2 episodes. I keep my episodes pretty short because my audience likes it a little bit shorter, but I don't mind having people come back or making it multiple episodes. Some of my
Okay.
longer guests, I wish I had done that in the past. That was before my son came on board, Daniel. Yeah,
Okay.
and then once we have the recording, what they'll do is they'll take the editor will take the recording and marry the intro and outro to it. He does an SEO description, some time the time markers, because the AI doesn't do it very well on what he uses.
Oh,
And then he loads it up on Buzzsprout and YouTube.
oh,
And then he
okay.
makes some post production files off of Canva that we then send to the guests, so they have something
Yeah.
to talk about their podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Today was okay. Yesterday, because today is 2nd of October for me. Yesterday, 1st of
Right.
October. I don't know if you're still in 1st of October, right? Where you're calling from?
Yeah, we're still. It's Wednesday evening, 6:00
Okay.
p.m. What about for you? What time is it?
Yeah, it's 2nd of October, so it's 1 a.m. for me.
Oh,
Yesterday was International Podcast Day. And so for me, I was like, oh, I wish I had a system. I've just been lazy. That's the thing. I was thinking of putting up a system such that, times like that, you send a message to all your guests, all your past guests, and say, thank you so much, for supporting. Of course, you use, what's the word? This email provider sender that will just send the message out to all of them once. Because, once you start doing the podcast for a long time, you begin to have a lot of guests, 200, 300. You don't want to be sending same or different customized
single.
message to 300 person. That will take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So send them and thank them for being on the podcast. Nobody really does that. Once you're on the podcast, the episode is live. Voila, that's it.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh yeah, it's 6 months. How have you been doing? What are you working on? Is there any way I can support? Nah,
Yes.
no. An
No.
episode is done, it's done, and everybody moves on. And I feel like that's not it. Like we're supposed to
I agree.
network and collaborate, especially for the
Yep.
guests you really love. Yeah.
Exactly. Have you? Where are you based out of right now?
I'm calling from Nigeria. Oh, I didn't introduce that. I'm so sorry.
That's
I'm calling
okay.
from Nigeria.
Okay, so I went to an event called PodFest Expo
Yeah.
in
I
January.
interviewed the I think is it the CEO? I don't know, but I interviewed him on the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the event was so cool to be surrounded by podcasters who just love podcasting. And it was my
Yeah.
first year. I was supposed to go there with Kay the year before, and then I had to pull out. Something happened with my family.
Okay.
So I couldn't not go, and I had to go to PodFest by myself this past January. And I remember people seeing Buzzsprout's table was making little tags with your logo of your, they were burning on little leather things, your logo for your podcast if you were Buzzsprout member, right? And so I didn't have a logo per se. They just did dance to heal, really simple font. And it had been left on the table. And when I went to pick it up, the person with Buzzsprout said, "You've gotten so many compliments on the name of your podcast.
Wow.
Here's the thing, wisdom. You know how you were so complimentary to me about my podcast name? Besides other podcasters, and then PodFest was the first time I started meeting people who didn't need any explanation other than, oh my God, that's a great name.
Yeah.
Everywhere else before that, people would be like, I don't know what you do. Why are you doing this? Who are you? What does this mean?
It's clear. Dance to
But
you.
PodFest, it was like, oh my God, we know what you do. I'm like, how do you know? Everyone else asked me, what am I doing?
Dance to you. Like it doesn't get simpler than that. What else?
Yes.
Like you dance to you. Is there, am I missing something else? Is there something else that you do on the podcast other than that?
No.
Yeah, wow. It's, first of all, it's good for SEO. Like when people are searching for dance to you, stuff like that. Your podcast ranks and it's easy for people to find you. And if they see your podcast, they're not wondering, what do you do again?
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, dance to you.
And do you know what's really interesting? So my son and I were trying to figure out how to do the rebranding, because when I was working with Kay, the picture I picked for my little, little square for the podcast was me wearing like glasses with my hair up, and I looked very serious because I wanted to make them feel like, you're safe. And then I had a lot of people giving me feedback, but why aren't you dancing if it's called Dance to Heal?
Yeah.
So this rebrand now, what's really interesting is that if anyone looks at the rebrand now on YouTube or any of the podcast platforms, the background is from me in the middle of my cancer treatment. So it's made opaque and you barely see these wings. It's from a piece that I did. I started a piece the year before I was diagnosed where I kept feeling that I wasn't going to make it. Like I wasn't going to live to see my kids grow up. So this really, the Sarah McLachlan's Angel, that song. In the Arms of an Angel, that song, that's sort of, I'm not going to sing to you. Your listeners might go deaf, but
Yeah.
I started choreographing this piece.
What do you mean
And
by they go there?
for my singing,
Are you?
I'm working on
Are you?
it.
Is it that terrible?
I'm trying.
Wait,
I'm working. I'm secretly want to be a
Oh.
singer, but not on your podcast interview today. In the future.
Okay.
So this
Okay.
song is very beautiful. Means a lot to me. And
Well,
the
that would
year
be great.
before,
I'm so sorry about
well,
that.
one
That would
day,
be great.
one
Sing to
day,
Hugh.
I will sing for you. All right, just not
Sing
today.
to Hugh. Sing
Yeah,
to Hugh
I'll sing for
podcast.
you.
I'm going to trademark that name so
Do
that
it.
if you have to use it, you come and pay me to use that name. Sing to Hugh podcast.
Yeah, do it. Do it. You should do that because I've discovered in my clients' healing, my self healing, my family healing, that it's besides your body healing through dance, it actually opens up your voice.
Yeah.
When people are healed, they have no difficulty using their voices. And if you have trouble talking, it's related to your health and stuff you haven't resolved.
Yeah.
I've noticed my voice has gotten clearer and stronger as I got more back into my body. And it wasn't just from the cancer. It was like things that happened when I was a kid that I never understood I had to like process and let go of as an adult.
Yeah.
Anyways, but that's that background,
Yeah.
right?
Back to the story. Yeah. Back to
the story. So the new background right now, the photo I have, my hair is really, really short because I just finished the surgery and the chemo, the radiation. I had chemo before, but I was still getting infusions. And so I went to perform, and it was to a live music version of that Sarah McLachlan song. Like I have a good friend who was singing it, and there were live instruments, and I danced my version of that piece that I had tried to choreograph 2 years before. And that's what we use as a background. And then in the foreground is me wearing a very bright yellow outfit, photo shoot earlier this year in January in Florida. And so it's this really interesting. Background is me recovering from cancer. Foreground is me now in full health, blooming, knowing who I am. That's the new branding.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd have loved to see
That's what I
this.
want for everybody. Yeah.
I'd love to see it, but yeah, but I guess we'll have to check it out. So if you love to see what the cover art looks like, you can click in the podcast link and go straight to the website of the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Okay, yeah. So you did the rebrand, and you've been doing the podcast for about 2 years since you left Transformation Talk Radio, and actually started doing the podcast correctly. What has been the major way you've been able to grow the podcast in front of listeners, audience?
The biggest thing for me has been my son shifting the descriptions to being more search engine optimized. He did that a lot. For every single episode, he shifts it depending on what my guest spoke on. And then us incorporating the YouTube shorts, that increased immediate visibility we saw in the numbers. So those are the two biggest things. The third thing I would say would be just consistency. Really stay consistent, keep producing episodes. Quality, right? Quality episodes. And the fourth thing would be, I used to be really afraid of being me only on an episode. And there were times I just recorded me because I have a lot to say.
Yeah.
So, right. Don't worry about it if you don't have a guest. You can talk. You have things to share with your audience.
Yeah. And just to put this out there, for a lot of persons, there's a crazy idea they could probably adopt, and that would be what I would be doing most of the time if I do decide to be a guest on other people's podcasts. Is I feel like most of the times hosts we're always asking the questions, right? And right now you're the star of this episode, right? My job is just to make you feel at home, and I feel like I'm doing a good job. I feel
You're
like
doing an excellent job.
I'm okay. Thank you. And to make the guests be the spotlight. Same thing on your show. If I go to your show,
yes,
your job is to make me feel like a star, right? And I'm like, wow, I like such a great time, right? And once in a while, the host really needs to shine their story. And so for me, what I've been thinking of saying I would do, and this could be adopted in different ways, right? You could find a friend that has a podcast, and what they'll do is they interview you on your show, right? So if I was to go on a podcast, or I would go to your podcast, and instead of you interview me on your podcast, I would interview you on your podcast and get you to share your story, and that's it, right? That's just one way, rather than saying, "Oh, I don't have an idea," because I feel like it's easy to have a conversation with someone versus, "Oh, what do we talk about today? I should script it. I should do." Right now, we're having a great conversation. I'm learning from you. You're learning from me, and it's great.
I love that. And I study with quite a number of speaker teachers, coaches, and one of the skills that, well, one of the number one fear is fear of speaking across the board around the world, right? It's just, and I feel that the more we conquer that fear of speaking, the more we all individually have a pathway to healing, right? So it's okay to, because you can edit your episode. You can just write, a little mini sticky on your screen of 5 things you're going to talk about, and then talk through all of it and then edit it down. You don't have to use the rough recording. When I first started hosting, I had a lot of ums and ahs and thinking and pauses and deep breaths, and then I learned over time to decrease those. So what you start with is not what you're going to end with, and just start. That's really important.
Yeah, I like that. Just that. Usually, I used to believe that just that was just a cliche advice. But when I started this podcast, I was scared. I was scared, right? Especially doing interview, and I was like, what do I say? Considering that English is a second language, I don't know, like, how do I even have a conversation and all that? And I was like, what's going to happen? What's the worst that is going to happen, right? And I'm like, it's going to flop and it's going to be terrible. And so, I never said I knew what I was doing.
Well, but look at you now. You're so suave and experienced, right? If the now you could tell the then you, just keep going,
I had sets of questions. I was sweating, and there was a fan and everything. I was still sweating. To clean my face, I wiped my face with an handkerchief, and the moment I finished wiping my face, another fresh set of sweat. I was like, what's going on? I was like, boy, it was brutal. But now, I'm just having fun. That's it. I don't really my own is, let's have a conversation. If you understand me, I understand you, and both can communicate. It's a great episode. Now, of course, I'll remove the arms, the tangent, and all those other points in editing, but voila, meet amazing persons, have a chat, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, in this episode alone, right? What you don't know that I'm going to share with the audience, because I'm pretty open and transparent. I started running out of batteries on my computer. So during our interview 10 minutes ago, I'm texting to my son, I need help with the charger.
I saw it.
Yeah, you saw that, right? A little bit when I was muting and talking. Yeah,
I saw and then testing, yeah. But I just didn't want to bring it up. I was like, maybe it was emergency. I was like, let's see.
Well, because basically I didn't want to get kicked off of your episode. So I'm texting my son, I need help right now. I don't know why I think I had too many things open. I'm looking down on my screen. I had too many things open. So it's draining my computer battery faster than I normally does. Because usually I can make it easily an hour and a half on my computer. So I'm like texting him. So he was crawling down there trying to plug in the plug for my computer. And I was like trying to okay, great. And then earlier, I have a suction cup for this webcam and it fell off.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Right? Old me, stressed out. Current me, hey, it's just, there's life. It's
a conversation. It's not a job interview.
Did you see that Japanese meme of the guy doing the job interview? He was lying down. Did you see that one yet on Instagram?
I've not seen it. No. Oh, wow. So, I'll go look for the meme. Yeah.
You can look at it. The guy's lying down, and the interviewer's going, "Are you lying down?" "No, sir, I'm not." Drink water, and he holds up the bottle of water and the bubbles on top because he's lying down, and he's trying to drink the water without pouring it.
That's that's so funny. Usually in job interviews, you notice that's true. Yeah. Why did I even come up with job interview? I think one time I did an interview in the workspace, and it was a grown I think the woman should be in her 50s or so. And she was being interviewed. I don't know what she was interviewing. It was a workspace, so I was doing my thing, my podcast thing in one place, and then I could hear answer questions and I don't know what she was applying for, but the interviewer was asking her question, and you could notice that this is a woman I listened to talk before she hopped on the interview. She was stammering, she was stuttering. I was like, and then they were asking her, so what do you mean when you say? I was like, ooh, so this is someone's mom that they're just stressing out like this, and I'm like, no. This is
can I give you some tips next time for your next interview?
Oh, yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you're listening. I'm saying in situations like that, you always wish that they could have just spoken to you before because they get so nervous that
Oh
it
no,
works
it's not
against
me.
them,
It's
right?
not me.
No, the
No,
woman next
it's
to
not
you
me.
that you could hear, right?
No, yeah, I was in the workspace and I could hear. I had nothing to do. It like
Yeah,
it was none of my business. I was just
I know.
listening. I was like, oh, what's going on? Because it was just. I was like, but right now I feel like we're two friends trying to catch up, and it's no big deal if the computer turns up upside down. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, but it's two respectful friends. Yeah, yeah, that's the word. And we're
Yeah,
just trying to chat. So it's not like, oh, well, what do I say? If I say this now, she's not going to hire me for this job. I really need this job to survive.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It's been an absolute
Thank
delight
you.
chatting with you. I'm curious because I had so many questions to ask, but I'm looking at the time and I'm like, "Ah, yeah, I need to round up." I'm curious, what are the next plans and projects, goals, and things you have in the pipeline for the podcast that you love to share with me?
All right. So my dream will make
Okay.
it VR sometime. Like people can
Wow.
that takes a lot of money, but could you imagine we could all dance together
We're
and then they
getting
could
there.
sit
We're getting there.
across?
With the way AI
We're
is
getting
going,
there.
it's getting cheaper. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
getting cheaper.
I
So we're
want to
getting there.
make that accessible where, they can maybe get a lesson from me through VR before or after the podcast, and then something the guests would walk them through or help them with, especially in the Q&A portion. I would like that more
Yeah.
because I've been a guest in a couple of other podcasts that I think they were on Riverside also, and they were able to acknowledge comments that they would then flash across the bottom of the screen for the speakers.
Yeah, the live
I
streams.
really,
Yeah, those
yeah, I love the live streams.
yeah,
That's what's called wisdom. So I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
move in that direction a little bit. And the VR thing is definitely a future like that. I want
yeah,
anyone to be able to log on and feel like they're in the room because part of the
yeah.
whole dancing is that when you're in community, you heal.
Yeah, the VR the VR I don't know how long. I think that problem it's such an obvious problem that I believe someone is already working on that, like creating a platform that would allow creators like you to do what you just mentioned. For the live stream, I already recommended Riverside to you, so you can start doing
Yep.
that with on
Yep.
YouTube, and you can multi-stream. So that way, by just creating one content, you can be on 4 or 5 platforms on Facebook and all that, right? And then there's there's something else you mentioned. Oh, do you have a newsletter?
I should. I don't. I mean, I do send out emails to my community about what's going on. I tell them about so I have a rebranded membership or community. It's called Solar Circle, where people can do
Okay.
stretching and dance and tai chi and beginners ballet classes live and then access to recordings. And then before that, if people aren't sure if they want to sign up for anything, they can access a virtual gift from me at danceandheal.com. So they can opt into our class to do stretching and dancing with me. And then if they really like it, they can check out the studio. The studio has right now my son was a ballet major from university, so he teaches
Oh wow,
adult ballet, and my daughter's been studying martial arts for a long time, so she leads tai chi classes for our clients. I do
wow,
myofascial stretching
that's
for
a
people's
family
hips.
business.
And then
Hmm.
they also get dance classes, and then we work through the points I talk about in my book, the Outside and Recovery book. There's a whole discover process, and in Solar Circle we go through all those chapters and work on them together as a community.
How many subscribers do you have for the newsletter? The
A
email.
little under 600 right now.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that's a lot. I feel
I
like I don't know what you have in place, but I feel like you should find a way to always be getting your podcast listeners to join your newsletter. That way, if you do anything in the future, the VR, or you start doing live streams, you can speak to them directly without having to go through algorithm and all those things. Because when you send a newsletter, you're sure that it will get to your inbox.
I love that. I'll
Yeah.
incorporate that more in. If someone opts into danceandheal.com, they'll automatically get opted into the email list, and then they'll get
Okay.
the options of the future episodes.
Yeah, it's just I noticed that on the website when I was doing my research. It's just that you want to give people incentive to join the newsletter, right?
I need to do that
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that you're like,
yeah.
oh yeah, every week we send something like this, right? And stuff like that. I don't know. For dance, it could be every week we send. I don't know. I don't know. You figure that out, but something they'll look forward to, right? So that they're like, oh, it's like you're getting a mail, right? Like, oh yeah, today's Friday. I should be getting the Jenny Dance to Heal newsletter, and
Yeah.
right, so that whether they work with you or not, you have them opening newsletter, so that if you offer a program, you're doing discounts, Black Friday deals, sales, and all those things, you can sell to them and yeah, get them to join the newsletter without wondering what the algorithm would think.
Yes, I like that. That's a great idea. I think I
Yeah.
could give them regular stretch classes once a week and dance classes. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Let me know how that goes. Is there any other goal we missed other than the live streams and the VR?
I think we got everything.
So do you have plans to make a ton of money from the podcast?
I know there's an option to do it, something about like through secret podcasts, but other than that, I'm not sure. Other than like maybe affiliate links to things.
Okay, okay, okay. I'd love to circle back 6 months, 3 months, 1 year from now. Hopefully you're still podcasting, and I am still. I feel like I should be
I hope so.
podcasting by then and say, yeah, that's how's it going now? How's the live streams going? How's the money aspects of the podcast going? Right, and it'll be lovely to catch up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having a chat with me and sharing your podcast story, sharing the behind the scenes of your podcast. It's been an absolute delight chatting with you, Jenny.
Thank you, Wisdom, for having me.
Yeah, where can listeners learn more about the podcast and also work with you?
They can, first of all, please do access your gift at danceandheal.com. And I am the Dance to Heal podcast on YouTube and also via the website.
Oh, okay, that is dancetoheal.com, all
Yes.
spelled out. I'll put a link in the description and you can go directly to the site. Once again, thank you, Jenny. It's been an absolute delight chatting with you. That's it for today's episode of my podcast story. I hope you enjoyed listening to this journey as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps others discover the show. And don't forget to join the newsletter at mypodcaststory.com/join for more stories and podcasting insights. Until next time, keep telling your story because someone out there needs to hear it.